Good morning, children. Saira. So now we're going to revise the chapter number 7, Understanding Marginalization. Though this chapter has been covered by me, but still I want to give you this chapter for a revision. So let's start up with the revision of this chapter. First of all, children, what is the meaning of marginalization? First, what is the meaning of marginalization? Marginalization is the process where whereby something or someone is pushed to the edge of a group and accorded lesser importance. Now, when we are talking about marginalization, I think you all know when we are talking about margin, it means to separate the whole from the you can say a small from the whole. As in, we can quote a simple example. We can take a single example of margin. When we draw the margin on the either left or the right hand side of the notebook, what happens at that time, children? From the whole space, we put a line which separates the whole paper from a small corner, right? That small column of margin, okay, it separates the whole sheet, and that column is a separate sector of the sheet. So similarly, marginalization means when we are not included in a particular group, or you can say minority or small portions to be separated from the majority. Now, what does it means socially? To be marginalized is to be forced to occupy sides or fringes and thus not be at the center of the things. Sometimes marginalized groups are viewed with hostility and fear. Now, why? Why we have to go ahead with such conditions? That why social boycott is there, or social separation is there? When we are talking about the sense of difference and exclusion that communities have or resources have, what actually happens in marginalization is a community or a society of people, they actually get separated or segregated from the whole lot. Now, who are these people who are separated from the whole community or the whole lot, right? Let's read about them. First of all, out of them there are the three broad categories. The three broad categories are the SC, that is the scheduled caste, then we have the ST, that is the scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. I repeat, other backward classes, in which you have these Adivasis, also, and at times scheduled tribes also. Sorry, if we talk about the Adivasis, these are the scheduled tribe, and they may include other backward, they may include or they are also included in the category of other backward classes also at times. Now, who are Adivasis? Next thing, that who are Adivasis? When we are thinking about the term ST, that is the scheduled tribes, not types, it's tribes, okay? Now, what are they? The term Adivasis, they refer to whom and what? They refer, first of all, they refer to the original inhabitants, that is the communities who lived and often continue to live in close association with forest. Now, why forest? Actually, the tribal people, or you can say tribes, the people living in forests, they prefer to be near nature itself. So children, this category of Adivasis is called as the scheduled tribes, or you can call them indirectly the one Manush also. Earlier they used to be called as one Manush, but ever since, with the improvement in the acts of government, they are called as Adivasis. Now, the most interesting fact about these Adivasis is that these communities consist or comprise about around 8% of India's whole population, and there are over 500 different Adivasi groups in India. They have a total different culture and tradition from what we have. Many of India's most important mining and industrial areas are situated in Adivasi areas only. Now, next point that describes that in which states we can find Adivasis or the scheduled tribes people. Gujarat, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, and in the northeastern states of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura. Orissa is a home to more than 60 different tribal groups. Well, apart from all these states, you can easily memorize the home of the Adivasi peoples, which is, you can say, renowned as the Seven Sisters, or you can say the seven states that are located in the northeast part of India. Next, now, why or what differentiates them from the normal societies or the human societies? What happens with them? They have most distinctive societies because there is very often little hierarchy among them. They make radical differences from communities. Now, what is the difference of communities in their caste system? Like, they worship ancestors, their own village, nature spirits, and they are moreover influenced by the religions like Shakta, Buddhist, Vaishnav, Bhakti, and Christianity. These all Adivasi peoples contribute, you can say, indirectly towards the nature and take care of the flora and fauna. They love to be close to nature. They like to be a part of nature, and they do not like to be disturbed by anyone who is an outsider. Next, the languages they speak. Adivasis have their own languages, and which was as old as Sanskrit, that is Santhali, and there it has the largest number of speakers and has a significant body of publication. Adivasis and stereotyping. Now, what is the stereotyping and what are stereotypes? When we talk about stereotypes, their characteristics are imposed upon groups of people because of their race, nationality, sexual orientation, among others, and many more things. They are invariably portrayed in very stereotypical ways. Now, their colorful costumes, their headgear, and their dancing. They are very fond of colorful costumes with all the gaudy colors present in their dresses, with the headgear, that is the crown or the tiara that they wear, is full of feathers, full of colorful feathers, or at times it has or comprises of small weapons also. Their dancing tools. They, as tribal people, are close to nature. Singing, music, dancing, dance are the activities they really relish. So the way they enjoy their life is is a typical way of life which cannot be led by the other human beings in normal. Next, Edwa, Adivasis and their development. Forests play a crucial low role for the development of all empires and settled civilization in India, as they provide metal ores, copper, gold, and silver, invaluable timbers, medicinal herbs, animal products like wax, lac, and honey. And this is a very prominent thing, children, that Adivasis, the tribal people, have deep knowledge of forest. Often empires heavily depended upon Adivasis, but still the basic thing is that in today's day, the knowledge which Adivasi or the tribal people have can't be inherited by anyone, because they are so close to nature. They live their life round the clock and round the year in those forests with the wild animals, with the ferocious as well as furious animals as well as creatures in the forest. So nobody can have or inherit the knowledge they have. The past 100 years, Adivasis have been forced through economic changes, and they really relish to be a part of this. So states may, even the government says that the tribal people should migrate as workers in plantation industries and as domestic workers. Forest lands have been cleared for timber to get land for agriculture and industry, but still the government says that the tribal people should not be denied of their rights. So children, thank you and Sayam. We're putting a hold over there and we'll continue the left portion in the next class.